KC makes some excellent points about what you can't see behind these Toyotas. So what I want to talk about is some of the things that you can't see in the redesigned Camry. Now, Toyota engineers got together a dynamic clinic of present owners to look at what they wanted to change, and a lot of this stuff you can't see beyond the structure changes. Some of the things we're talking about that Toyota made changes on is noise reduction, handling, and best brake performance in the class. Toyota's paying a lot of attention to detail when they look at what the brake pedal feels like when you first press on it, how responsive is it, and things like headliner. Can we tuck it in so that 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, it's not going to sag? Toyota's even hidden cast foam underneath the floor. It's going to make the ride much quieter than it's ever been in the Camry.
You know what? Let me tell you something. Laura's right. The elimination of noise, vibration, and harshness has always been a keystone, a cornerstone for Toyota and Lexus. So this year in the Camry, they've done some crazy stuff. First of all, I don't know if you guys know, but when they close the door of a Camry, they put it in a sound booth, like a recording studio, so the door has a perfect sound. So 1,000 Camrys would all have the exact same sound when the door closes. I think that's cool. There's always been a little service hole in the foam of the door so that they can work on window regulators and stuff, and that's noise comes through that. So starting with Avalon, they got a little screw-in blank that seals that up. And so now the car's quieter than it's ever been before. They didn't realize what was happening. JBL tells us because they've now completely sealed the door, that it increases the fidelity of the stereo system by as much as 30%. Hey, how about doing something and getting something a bonus? Talking bonus with Laura Madison. Toyota overbuilt this truck. Let's not kid around. When Toyota came into the full-size truck market, went right after Dodge, right after Ford, right after Chevrolet and GMC, they said, you know what, we have to overbuild this truck. So we got 430 rear-end gearing, we got a 10.4-inch ring gear in the back. So all these components are bigger than components before. Also our brakes. Think about this, a 13.9-inch rotor, which is the biggest rotor in the industry, and a 4-piston caliper. Most people don't really know what brakes are. They think brakes are the pedal under the steering wheel. When you push on it, the vehicle slows down, which I guess is good enough. But let's talk about the dynamics of the way we built this. And you know, in order to pull this off, let me bring Laura in. We'll do what we call our dollar bill presentation. Come on in, Laura. So I want to get you to use your power, okay? I need 2 fingers on this hand, and I want them pointed this direction. So this would be the 2-piston caliper and the #1 selling truck in America, Ford F-150. So we have a rotor, and I use a dollar bill. So the presentation is going to cost you $1. So I have her hold her fingers together, mash the rotor into a fixed plate with just one hand. Now push that as hard as you can. That's the way the Ford brakes work. And we know Ford stop. We see them stop all the time. But I want you to hold that as tight as you can. Got it?
Yes.
Got it? Okay. And I just pull that right out. Now, I would tell Laura right now, you know, there are 24-hour gyms. That was pretty pitiful. So I want to give you another chance. Give me 2 fingers like this and 2 on the other hand. Now, instead of making you turn upside down, I'm going to turn the rotor from here to here. And this is a 4-piston caliper, so hold them straight sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to have her hold onto the rotor with both hands, as tight as you can, and pull that out of my hand. You know what? So sometimes you get your dollar back. Oh, let me put that in my pocket before she gets it. But let me ask you a question. If your daughter had a horse, and it was her pride and joy, and you knew that one setup was like this, and one setup had a 4-piston caliper, and you knew that Toyota used stainless steel pistons, and Ford uses a plastic composite, for the safety of the horse and the passion of your child, would you prefer the Toyota or the Ford braking system?
There's no question, the Toyota.
So you know what? It makes it easy. Value is in the presentation.
Now that Casey has talked about some of the things that we can't necessarily see underneath the hoods and underneath the bodies of some of these vehicles, I want to talk about what we can see. A major change that Toyota did this year for the all-new 2015 Camry, and that's 2 new trim levels. We're looking at the XSE right here, and beyond the styling differences, we've got a whole new trim level that's going to appeal to an entirely different customer. We also have an SE hybrid that Toyota engineers took particular care to put the components that they wanted to make the hybrid a little bit more sexy. So with this new grade strategy, we have an entirely different appeal to a potentially much larger audience for the 2015 Camry.
Okay, I can't stop and not talk about the frame. I got our major competitor out there telling everybody in the world their frame is better, a fully boxed frame. So it's F-150, #1 seller. You got to give them credit, man. They've been leading the pack forever. So they spent the money to make a fully boxed hydroform frame. Very expensive. The problem is the rigidity in the frame. So when you build a fully boxed frame, there's no forgiveness in the frame. All you got to do is get your customers, if they're shopping, talk about ride quality. You're never going to ride in a truck like you ride in a Lexus, but we've changed everything up. So we have what's called a tri-tech frame. So the first third of the frame is a hydroform, fully boxed frame. Remember, when you step on the brakes, all the inertia in the truck goes forward, and that's where the load is. That's where the engine weight is. So we built a frame that has zero forgiveness. That's the strongest part of the truck, is the front, where all the weight dynamically is going to go. The second part, and this is cool, it's called a rolled C. It's a C channel, but if you look inside, it's a reinforced C. So inside the C, there's more metal. If you took that metal out and welded it right here, it's got as much metal as a fully boxed frame. But by opening the C up, two things happen. We have a little bit more flex and forgiveness under the cabin of the vehicle, and also we can run our wires and tubes through there so they're hidden and away from exposure. The last part of the frame is an open C channel. And then we wedge in a receiver hitch with 12 bolts on there. And that receiver hitch goes into the frame and becomes another cross member. If you look at Ford Super Duty trucks, they run an open C channel. So how can they say that a fully boxed frame is the best truck frame when their Super Duties run an open C? Think about what you're learning, and remember that our engineers designed the frame for this truck. Tri-tech, sell it.